I mean, Vladi for me, this guy is good. I was really, really hyped and excited for Vladi because even though, because the thing is, the way it works, when you do broadcast, you have these meetings weekly, where at the beginning of the split or as you go, you kind of designate, the hype people to talk about, kind of someone to build a narrative around. And Vladi was at the bottom of the food chain, right? Because you had Kalist, you had Kana, who the previous split was really, really good. And you had Yike, obviously, coming from G2, a lot of eyes on him. And Vladi was kind of the non-hype guy. But this guy has been grinding so incredibly hard. And towards the end of the split, the whole narrative, even in broadcast, was like, okay, guys, we kind of have to start hyping this guy up and talking about him because this guy is just so absolutely cracked. And honestly, when you think about it, Caps only lost finals to two mid laners, Larsen and Vladi now.
Sure.
In EU. It is the only two finals that he lost out of like 9, I think, or something like that. So for me, to have a guy or even a rookie, because he is technically a rookie, even though he had only like one split, I guess, or one summer split in the year before, to come in and play this good against the ultimate boss of the LEC in that sense. Not a lot of teams get to beat G2, and the way you beat them is you have to find someone who's just as good as Caps or even better. And it was really surprising looking at K-Corp and seeing him, do it. Not because I thought that he's bad in that sense, but it's just he kind of came and took the league by storm with just not doing crazy stuff, It's not like he reinvented the wheel in that sense or anything. Just consistent, solid, good League of Legends, and it was just surprising to see this sort of comfort and stability and consistently good performance from him. I think he had only one bad game this split, if I think about it, and it was a playoffs game, so it was, it wasn't really a decisive game. I guess it was just one game in a best of that he cleaned up afterwards. But incredible level of consistency from him. So I was taken aback by it.
Yeah, I fully agree. And he's come out of nowhere, really, to be honest. Like, normally rookies have like this level of inconsistency, and he definitely had it in summer last split, but it's just gone this split, which is very, very impressive. Also, obviously K-Corp went hard on Caps, like Tagmas was coming mid, Yike was coming mid. They were really stopping Caps from being able to play. But you can't do that if your mid laner isn't controlling his waves properly, isn't like calling the right timers, isn't doing something with the lead he's getting afterwards. So yeah, it was a very, very impressive performance. Like I cannot remember a rookie, because I'm going to call him a rookie as well, because he hasn't even been in the league for a year. I cannot remember a rookie performance from a mid laner this impressive. Right, and that's including people like Humanoid when they came up, Nemesis, Larsen, like. It's just been impressive, and it's also in a fearless format, which in theory should hurt rookies, right? Because if you're a veteran, you've played formats in the past where you can just have your random Anivia or your, like Orianna isn't that. I mean, it's a meta pick, right? But you don't have to put in as much time into Orianna if you've been playing for 10 years versus if you've been playing for a shorter amount of time, so you have time to do more things, more innovative picks. So yeah. So he hasn't been hurt by the fearless format. He's obviously doing really, really well in solo queue. Just very, very impressive for sure.
Yeah, I think this is actually, I like the angle you took on this. Like, people, maybe because they're looking at Carmine Corp as a whole, and obviously Kalista was the super hype person, or there's the whole, like, Yike used to be in G2. There's loads of, like, distracted angles, but I think the part people are missing is the whole thing, especially if you think about the early days of EU LCS, was supposed to be the mid lane region. Like, not only do we have caps and perks in different eras when we have, like, the best, but to actually win from mid lane is super insane in the EU LCS. I used to have a thing that I used to do that had a double purpose. One, it was to fuck with Nemesis when he was on Fnatic, but it was also to make a point about how insane mid lane talent in EU is, because what I used to say when on Fnatic was like always second was, if he wins, Nemesis will be the worst mid laner to win LEC. And what everyone was doing, that thing of like, oh, you saying he's bad? It's like, no, my joke there is like, the only people who'd won at that point in time was like Caps, Perks, Expeke, Froggen, and I think like Febiven or something. So like, it's a pretty insane fucking list. Like, my point there is, if I'm saying currently like Febiven's the worst, like, he's still pretty good. The point, if you notice, there is, even really great players. Nuke Dog never won one. It's actually really fucking insanely hard out of mid to win because two regions won.
Actually,
You
Alex
either blocked.
never won LEC.
No, he
as
also
well.
never won one
Holy
too.
moly, yeah.
There's loads of people. It's actually like people forget Niski only won that one time with Mad Lions like 2 years ago when they fluked that one split. Like, it's really Larson only got the one, even though he was in all those finals. So like the point, I would extend the point to this one of Vladi here. Like in theory, you just don't win as a rookie, especially, bro. You don't just walk in the league and win the job. Like, it's happened to Perks, right? He had like a whole fucking set of veterans around him. Febevan had like, by the summer split, like Yellow Stars, his shot caller. He had like Hooney and Rainover just ran the whole league. You remember what it was like back then? Like, these guys didn't really have to be like the number one guy on the team. They were like good in their role, etc. But like, I also think that's the other thing that's crazy. It's technically 2 splits, boys. That's it. He hasn't even done like a whole year yet. He's already the champion. And it's not like he was inconsequential. I do think you can look at their team. It was overall very strong. He can complement most members. But like, look how this guy played too. If you think about when people like Humanoid came in the league, I do think they like were a little bit more limited in their champion pool and they just tried to play the matchups. They like, this guy looks like he plays everything he plays in solo queue. He just plays wherever he wants. Like, by the end of the split, he's just picking literally anything he wants. Like, all the strongest meta picks, the Yone, everything looked dope. And also, like, I watched him play solo queue and rated him before. Like, he actually does play for real, like, with the same swagger when he just grinds as he does in the LEC. Like, he's got mad swag too. He's got like the fucking, he seems like he genuinely believes he should be like a top player. So I think it's dope, mate. And I even think one part that people will underestimate is because like a rookie won LEC and's going to the first stand. I thought Wadid was right on Twitter. If you look right now might be the number one time in league history where actually like being a mid lane farmer, it doesn't really even matter. Like, the game's not even about that for that fucking lane. So if anything, like, this is, by the way, the roles you want the rookies at are like, they're just the hands roles, the ones where you just go to the tournament and just do some fucking, even people that people didn't like M&S are hands, mate. They could like out hands a fucking TS mid laner or something. So I actually think you might even do decently at the first stand. Everyone wants it to be like you're going to fail like everyone does when they choke and they've never beat. Bro, in this meta, if he can pick these champions, this is what everyone else is playing. Maybe he can even fuck around and like beat a fucking Asian team. Maybe it's possible. What do you think, Otto? You think he can do it?
I think so, especially because if you think about it, it wasn't really like he won LEC just because he showed up on the day, right? It's just consistent upwards trajectory in terms of growth, and he's doing really good. I don't really think his champion pool is special in any way. I think he's just playing normal meta stuff, but he kind of
plays everything, though, mate. He plays like Aurora, everything. He has it all, yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of plays everything, but he has this sort of rookie confidence where I feel like when you're a rookie and you first come into the league, you play with a little bit more confidence than the veterans in that sense, because what happens is that the more time you spend in the league, the more you get molded by your coaching staff, by your org, the people around you. They kind of make you, a little bit more consistent and a little bit more risk adverse in that sense, because naturally they just want to minimize the amount of mistakes you do. And he's at this point where he doesn't really give a shit, or he didn't really get a lot of information, drilled in his head where he has to, filter a lot of information that he has and choose the best course of action. So I feel like he is a breath of fresh air. And also going into first stand, I think it's one of those tournaments right now where there's only young mid laners. There you don't have. I think the average or like the oldest mid laner at the tournament is like 23 or 24.
Oh,
I
wow,
think.
right, okay.
Yeah, so you don't have any of the old guard. You don't have like Doindy Faker, all of the old super veterans and stuff to kind of beat you up or contest with you. Right now it's just rookie playground at first stand. So it's kind of, he gets to go toe to toe, and I just think that K Corp as a whole, their team play is solid. Sure, I still think they have flaws in their game in their gameplay. They could be exploited. We saw it with Fnatic a little bit. The fact that they dropped 2 games because of some identity things that they were doing wrong. But I do think that he will contend. I don't see other people having. I just don't see a clear flaw in his gameplay in his gameplay where I'm like, oh, maybe his roaming is bad or his laning phase is bad. He can get exploited, right? Because you have you could have Doinby, who just picks Nautilus, pushes and moves, and then all of a sudden you don't get to lane, right? It's just, if he has to adapt, he will. but it's also like international experience right now. How are you going to perform under stress? Because it's a lot more than playing finals in the little LEC studio with 200 people, where it's the same environment that for a while, or at least you've seen it before. And also, you don't really get to scrim other teams.
True.
In that sense, because right now he's playing against people he played before. So right now there's a little bit more of an unknown factor, where the question is, how is he going to perform against people he never played against before, where maybe he didn't get to study, or get some muscle memory and exploit, or like notice tendencies that people do when they lane against him, because that's also some sort of comfort that he doesn't have access to. So for me, my big question is that. But at the same time, I still feel that he's ready to go, because I don't know, he's just been good for a year now, and his growth doesn't stop so far.
Yep, I agree. Also, he's also been leading from the front on this team, right? Like, Kano is the biggest veteran on that team, right? But he's not micromanaging everyone on the team, right? Like, his English is not bad, but it's not like good enough to do that. Also, there's one thing. If there's one thing I would say about Vladi, I have one minor concern, which is I don't think he has a good answer into Yone. Because he picked Corki into Yone against Fnatic. He picked Jace into Yone the first time against G2. And I feel that K-Corp basically need to find something into this. Because Cream and Zeka will will really, really like win games on that. I guess kind of, Odo, there's one question I would want to just ask you on the Vladi point, which is, we don't give split awards, or the broadcast doesn't give split awards. But if there was an MVP of the split, would you have Vladi as the MVP, or would you have Yike as the MVP, or somebody else?
I think they do give. I think it might just be one of those yearly awards where they do the Rookie of the Year, MVP of the Year, stuff like that. But I'm not sure. But if I had to choose something for this split, it's hard, because Yike did a lot, right? It would surely be for me between Yike and Vladi in that sense. I mean, Skewmont had a great year as well, or like split so far with G2, and I think they just fumbled the final. So it might just be a little bit, hype narrative, results-based analysis, where I say, Yike should be getting MVP. But for me, what I thought for the whole year, or like for the whole split, it should have been Skewmont for MVP. If you take away the final, I just felt like this guy ramped up super hard. And just seeing voice comms and everything, he leads the team very, very well. I thought it was very fair that Vladi got finals MVP. Yep. I just think split long MVP, I still would have given it to Skewmont, and then maybe it would have been Vladi, just because he was good the whole split. But I think it's hard. The thing is, it's hard to take the MVP away from the jungler. It's always like this in League, where jungler is just the most OP role, and you get to see a team live or die by their jungler so many times that it's hard to see the impact of a really good mid laner, right? So that's why I'm like, I would have probably given it to Skewmont.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.